Right, so last night was the debut episode of Kamen Rider ZETZ, the newest installment in the Kamen Rider franchise, and the first Kamen Rider that I'm going to attempt to watch as it airs because it's the first Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider Gav was not legally aired in America that I can think of. I don't think it was put on streaming anywhere or anything. I couldn't watch it in a convenient way, so I just didn't. I completely gave up after episode 3 because I thought trying to watch it was annoying. So, Kamen Rider ZETZ is finally released. It's finally out, the first episode. I stayed up last night to watch it. I was fighting sleep to watch this episode, and I'm going to try to commit to watching it as it airs every single Saturday. Luckily, I'm off on Sundays, so it's not that big of a deal. But Kamen Rider ZETZ is out, and I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I decided that I would like to try to commit to making videos weekly as it airs, doing first impressions and a thoughts video about the newest episode, and see how that goes for me. See if I can commit to doing that, and if it's something that I can do and do well. So Kamen Rider ZETZ is out, and I think firstly I would like to just comment about the design of ZETZ. So ZETZ, for me, is the simplest Kamen Rider design that I've seen that has come out. And I haven't seen that many Kamen Rider series, but I know of the designs of the Kamen Riders. Other than the one that is split down the middle, and I can't think of his name, and it's like purple and green. Kamen Rider ZETZ is probably the most Showa era design that Kamen Riders had in the Heisei or Reiwa era. Unless I'm forgetting somebody, it is super simple from a color scheme point of view, in a design point of view. I think that it harkens back greatly to the Showa era, but with like a modern. It looks like a Showa era Kamen Rider, but on steroids. Like, it looks like if you took the first 2 or 3 Kamen Riders and put them on steroids, is what it is. All the way down to his belt being very simple. It's not like some super intricate thing. It's literally like a belt. You put a ball in it. The only difference is, instead of it being on his waist, I think this is the first time a Kamen Rider has had its Henshin device on something other than its waist. It's on its chest, sort of like the little purses that dudes walk around with, or like a fanny pack that dudes walk around with that go across their chest. And I've walked around with a fanny pack on me like that before as well. So that feels like that's sort of Kamen Rider putting a modern fashion twist on a style thing that modern men wear. So from a design standpoint, all the way down from the belt being very simple to the color scheme looking like original Kamen Rider, but on steroids, it is a very simple design for a Kamen Rider, and it's one of my favorites based on what I've seen. And I tend not to pass judgment on a design of a character until I've watched a show that it is contextually a part of, because I think that adds context, and that adds an element and a layer to that design where it might explain why it looks like that. Maybe it's a silly design, and you watch a show and it's silly and it makes sense. But maybe you watch a show and it's serious. Like if you took Kamen Rider Black from Black Sun, the Amazon show, and you put it in Gav, I guess it would look weird. At least if that was the main Kamen Rider. So from a design standpoint, I really love ZETZ. I think it's one of the strongest tokusatsu designs I've seen since I got into tokusatsu a couple years ago in terms of what's come out. I think it looks better than Arc and Omega. I think it looks better than Boom Boonger, whatever the hell that one was called. I didn't watch that one. I think it looks better than Gav. So I think that it's a very nice design. And then talking about like the plot of the show. So I kind of joked in my head that it was going to be like a Nightmare on Elm Street meets Kamen Rider meets like tokusatsu. And it sort of actually was, to an extent. There was a scene where real life shit was being affected by the things that were happening in Boko, is that his name? The main protagonist. It usually takes me like 10 episodes to start remembering people's names. I think his name is Boko. If it's not, then next time I'll be correct. Um, his real life stuff starts being affected by his dreams. So, anyways, he wants to be a secret agent. That's like his dream. He wants to live an interesting life where he's not some like dweeb, which I don't think he's that lame to begin with. I don't think he's that nerdy. Um, he wants to live an exciting, event filled life. He wants to be a secret agent. When he goes to sleep at night, he starts dreaming of that, and eventually his dreams start clashing with reality. And I don't completely understand the plot of the series yet because I've only seen the episode once, and maybe I'll rewatch it next week before the next episode airs. I probably will actually. Um, but his dream and his real life start clashing. I believe in a dream sequence, he is given the belt, but then when he wakes up in a hospital because he got hit by a car. I think was what happened in that scene, and he wakes up in the hospital after having that and having a dream sequence where he learns to be a Kamen Rider with the belt across his chest. So it's like it is sort of like Nightmare on Elm Street in the sense that his dreams are actually affecting reality, and um, yeah. So I don't. There's a strange looking man who's walking around, and the screen turns red, and he's talking about nightmares and stuff like that. So I don't understand fully yet what is happening because everything hasn't been established. This was the first episode. It was establishing a main protagonist, some side characters, the Kamen Rider himself, and so I don't fully know what's happening yet, and nobody really does. I imagine that there's going to be some mystery to the fact that there's this dream stuff happening. So that's interesting, and I think it's a very interesting approach to take to a Kamen Rider series, and it's not just like, here's some freaking snacks, and he puts on his belt, and the theme is snacks. Like, there's interesting things that you can do with the Kamen Rider's whole theme being dream sequences and nightmares and daydreams and all this stuff. So I think from a plot perspective, it's very interesting. It was probably, as far as opening episodes to a tokusatsu series, genuinely maybe one of the best that I've ever seen. Like, normally it's just like, here's the thing, and we're establishing the formula of the show, but it doesn't normally present you with an interesting plot that you actually really would like to see episode 2 and see how it develops. So from a story perspective and a design perspective, I really love it so far. And then the last thing that I would like to talk about is action. Um, the action in the show is incredible. Like that one sequence where it's a gunfight and it's the main character in his dream sequence and he's a special agent is incredible. Like the choreography and the editing and the direction of this series, like it's a tokusatsu series. It's made for kids. It's made to sell toys, and I understand that. But from a filmmaking perspective, this is one of the strongest opening episodes I've ever seen to a tokusatsu series, and I've seen 20 plus now in the last couple of years, including several Kamen Riders. There is not a single first episode in a tokusatsu series that I can think of that does as interesting of shit as this one does, from a story perspective, from a filmmaking perspective, from a an action perspective. The gunfight was amazing. The fight with ZEZTZ and the monster who had the the chamber on his head, like the gun chamber on his head. I can't remember the monster's name. I don't even know if they said it, but that was super interesting. Kamen Rider lighting up in the night with all the different colors is incredible. Like from a visual perspective, it's super interesting. And one thing that I think we're going to get in this, that I hope we're going to get in this. Okay, so I'm just going to say the two things that I want to have happen in this series because this is one of them. So, firstly, this wasn't what I was about to talk about. I hope that ZEZTZ is the only rider. So, I'm really, really hoping that they ditch this formula of having multiple riders that I've heard so much about because I like. My favorite rider is Kuga. And Kuga, I'm pretty sure, was the last rider to have been the only rider in a series, I think. So I want just ZEZTZ. I think that that's far more interesting when it's just ZEZTZ. Like when it's just like a person dealing with the shit that they're dealing with when they're trying to save people, when they're being a superhero, the people in their life are being affected by it, and they're trying to do all that shit, and they're alone. And there's not 6 other Kamen Riders running around. And I say this because I'm watching Kamen Rider Geats right now, also on the side. There's not 6 other freaking Kamen Riders running around. and it just makes it feel more special when there's only one. So that's one thing I'm hoping, and I really hope, because I think it would work more with sort of a serious tone that they're going for, is just one writer. But the name is Kamen Rider, and from what I hear, they have barely leaned into the writing aspect of Kamen Rider since Kuga, which had so much motorcycle action in it, and I loved it. And I hear that there are reasons why you can't easily film motorcycle shit in Japan. There are laws and all that shit, and I don't care. Figure out a way to make this shit work. You are a production company. The name is Kamen Rider. One of the key aspects of the character was that he rides a motorcycle. Bring that shit back, especially because the motorcycle that they showed in this episode is so freaking cool looking, and I want motorcycle action. I want Kamen Rider to be a rider. So that and him being the only rider are like the two things I'm hoping. And the fact that they showed the motorcycle the way that they did in this episode, and that you see it sort of at the end, him riding it, and the fact that there's dream sequences, so you can do crazy shit with motorcycles, and the fact that he is a far more serious looking Kamen Rider than Gav was, which I watched a few episodes of and then stopped. I really, really, really hope that they lean into the writing aspect for this show. But overall, from a action perspective, I loved it. From a character perspective, I thought it was interesting. From a story perspective, I thought that it developed a bunch of stuff and set in motion a bunch of stuff that I find interesting and could actually make an interesting overarching plot for a tokusatsu series beyond just Rider shows up, henchins, beats a dude. The design is incredible. I love ZEZTZ's design. I love his belt. I want an action figure of ZEZTZ really bad, actually. I would love one sort of like my arc right here. I don't know if there are probably ZEZTZ action figures. I need to look it up and figure it out. But I am extremely looking forward to continuing to watch the series and see where this goes. And it's my first Kamen Rider that I've watched as it airs. It feels like a monumental occasion because the only other Tokusatsu series I've watched as it airs is Arc. I haven't caught up with Omega yet. I need to, possibly. I failed to get on the new Sentai show before it started airing. I think they're like 20 episodes in. I didn't watch Gav. So yeah, this is my second Tokusatsu series that I've watched as it airs. So far, I'm loving it. Like, I could probably rewatch this episode right now and love it just as much. And I'm very much so looking forward to next Saturday when the next episode airs and to see what they do with this whole dream sequence thing and see if they take it further, see if they lean into the rider elements, and see what they do with it. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the new Kamen Rider episode and you are looking forward to the season, leave a like and a comment, subscribe. I'm going to try to do this every single week and cover this entire series, maybe make a playlist on my channel of it. And thank you for watching.